Hello, my friends. Hello, my family. We are live, RBN Wednesday Night Live. Welcome to the Deeply Serious Political Show. And I have a great guest with me, my great friend. This is a safe space for ranting. Because whenever I feel like having a good rant session, I think Misty for the same too. We just hit each other up like,
Yep.
you down to rant? I'm like, yeah. Let's
Yep.
do it. So, welcome back, our honorary RBN family.
Yeah. Yes. And you're absolutely right. I can't tell you the number of times, y'all, that I have hit Nick up in the DMs and been like, dude, I need to rant. He's one of my favorite people to rant with. Dude, I need to rant. Please come on my show. Let's rant. And we just get together and just have fun and rant and get stuff off our chest. It's a good time.
Yeah, whenever me and Misty is just like a safe space for us to rant because whenever I have guests, I hear you guys because they're like, Nick, stop talking too much. You let your guests. I'm like, all right, Miss, sorry, I had this rant. I had to get off my chest.
Yeah.
When I had round tables, I be trying to let CJ and everyone talk, but then I was like, I feel the passion. I feel
Yes.
and then I look up like, oh shit, they've been waiting to talk for like 5-10 minutes.
I do that all the time too. And people say the same thing to me. You talk too much. Oh, it's my fucking show. I'll talk however much I want to. You know what I mean? I do that a lot though. And I can't help it. I get on a roll and it's you know how it is. You just go and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit.
See, guys, I'm self-aware.
Yeah, I am too.
I know what it is, but I think you guys have a good time watching. I had a lot of people I had on. They had a great time. I still remember when I had Jimmy on the first time. Everyone was like, "That was Jimmy go on the rant. I go on the rant."
He's fun to rant with too.
That was
yeah.
That's why he invited me on after that because he had such a good time. He invited me on the show after that. And that's how I like doing my show. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Because me and Misty, this is gonna be a good one. After the latest. After the latest, you guys see the title of this video. You guys see what I'm talking about. I was like, Misty, let's get Misty on here because this is crazy. But before we get into the main story, we're gonna talk about NATO and the squad. And the squad has this effect where they pull people to the right.
Oh.
And I already see progressives arguing like, man, yeah, maybe Sweden and Finland should be in NATO. You guys see how I titled this video. If you support NATO, you are right wing. Period.
Yeah. Yes.
Period. But before I get into that, because I gotta like to explain because I saw Boss, she's posting like anarcho NATOism and shit like that. So I don't put too much stock into these people, but I'm telling you guys it's out there. And that's because like AOC and the squad who pushes people to the right.
Yeah.
The same way they did on Julian Assange. They push a lot of people to the right just by not saying anything about it.
Yep.
So
100%.
This episode, I have a segment we're gonna do where we explain why, if you are anywhere supportive of NATO, you are on the right. If you are if you just a right winger, just own it. But anyway, before we get into that, Misty, because you are a staunch Julian Assange supporter. Actually, I want to.
Who, me?
Let me say this. I mean, they're probably not the best way to phrase it. Actually, I would say supporter of the free press. I actually think that's and Julian Assange's case is super important on that.
Yeah.
So actually, I think that's the best way to phrase it. And another guy I've seen and heard of this activist because Eric Levy was
Levy,
well known in the community. I'm not gonna pretend I know him extremely well. You just did a stream talking about this as well. So I want to give you opportunity to discuss Eric because he passed away. I think he was actually 94.
Yeah, so WikiLeaks got it wrong, which we'll forgive them. Yes, he was 94.
I saw this I remember seeing this when it happened. I was just reminded of it when I just saw this. The 92-year-old, I think was he 92 at that time?
Yeah, at the time, yeah. That was during the big hearings that were happening in September in London of 2020. I don't know. COVID time is weird. So yeah, Eric Levy is just a badass, lifelong activist. I mean, he's been in the streets since he was like 17, 18 years old for numerous causes. Palestine. He went to Iraq and acted as a human shield. Julian Assange was obviously something that he was very supportive of over the past 10, 12 years or so. And he was just an awesome human being. I'll try to talk about without crying. It's just really, I mean, listen, he was 94 years old. He's been in ill health. He's been in the hospital for a little while. So we all saw this coming. but he was genuinely the best of us, as like the Assange family. He was an amazing person, and he, as you just showed, he got arrested at 92 years old. There's another video of him at Piccadilly Circus during the time of COVID, and the cops were, of course, out there kind of bullying protesters and trying to get them to leave, and Eric just would not move. He wouldn't budge. And that's just the kind of person he was. I mean, he was a legitimate in the streets guy. And he was a fantastic human being. We're all going to miss him tremendously. That's him. That's my friend Allie Mae. Allie, that he's dancing with. Allie has been a very good friend of him and has been taking care of him for the past few years or so. And the London crew are some of the most amazing activists I have ever come across. They are relentless. They're out in the streets twice a week, every week. I mean, doesn't matter, rain, snow, wind, hail, COVID, doesn't matter. They find a way to get out there, and they're amazing people. And so I feel for all of Team Assange, because this is a loss for all of us, but in particular, solidarity with the London crew. I know they're all hurting a great deal today. He literally just died today, earlier, like mid-morning, I think, for us.
I was just looking up all these videos. I knew you had a lot on your timeline. Here's another one. If you
I've been tweeting about it nonstop today. Deal with it.
I knew.
Yeah, this is the one. This is like the cops trying to get him to leave, and he's like, "I'm not." That's Eric.
Should I play the sound? I will just play in the video. Just let me know.
Yeah. That's our guy. That's our guy. That's our Eric. I mean, just a relentless, badass activist, and seriously, lifelong fighter for the people, for truth, for justice, all of those things. I've been tweeting about it relentless today. Sorry, not sorry. He's awesome. He was awesome, and we're gonna miss him a lot.
Richard says, sad to hear that Eric Levy passed away at 94. He is a well-known and loved member of the Assange community. He famously went to Iraq as a human shield.
Yep.
To oppose the U.S.-led invasion. Rest in peace, this absolute king.
Yes.
This absolute king among men. To be in your 90s, to be protesting for Julian Assange. We can't even get our progressive leaders to do that. You guys realize that?
Twice a week. And he, even up until very recently, he's been in the hospital for a couple months or so. And even up until then, he rarely missed an action. Very rarely. I mean, just seriously, an absolutely relentless fighter. And we lost a good one. It's really sad. It's a really sad day for all of us, really, but in particular, the Assange community. Yeah,
it's extremely sad. And I hope, just seeing that, just inspiring me. This guy in his 90s still fighting until his last days. And in his 70s, he was a human shield in the Iraq war.
Yeah,
he was in this fight from the beginning to the end.
Yeah,
he's in this fight. So
absolutely,
the best we can do is use his memory and use it to spark.
That's my intention. I'm going to honor him and his life by fighting harder. I know that everybody that had the absolute joy and privilege of knowing Eric feels the same way. That is the best way to honor his memory, is to just use the spirit of Eric to propel us forward in the fights that we face. Because again, he was just positively relentless. He had no quit in him whatsoever. And I think we all should be inspired by that and allow that to kind of move us forward.
Yeah. And once again, I'm glad that we just had someone out there fighting like that. So, and even though he's in his 90s, he's fighting for the right thing. And this is something I've been trying to push back on some people on. Like, you hear people say stuff like, and I get where they're coming from, where they say, well, there's no left, there's no actual left. I'm like, no, you're talking about there's no elected politicians who are left.
There's a left.
There's power on the left. There is an outside game. As someone who's a member of the outside game, as someone who knows a lot of great activists in Kansas City to join the Assange movement, the problem is anyone that is connected with the inside game, they tend to hate the outside game. They tend to want nothing to do with it. Yep. So the outside game on the left is, I think, the only strong outside game that is left behind by the establishment. Like, even the far right is courted by the Republicans, right? And then you have the shitlib activists who we about to get into here very soon. They courted by the Democratic Party. These are people who protest within the rules of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
I kind of want to ask you about this because we was cracking up the other day, and I found this. I found this today, and this is very interesting. Now we know AOC and Ilhan Omar and the squad pretty much. They did the hand behind her back, trying to pretend that they was arrested, protesting for a DNC-approved action. And Ilhan Omar, campaign manager or spokesperson, I don't know his exact title, something like that. He tweeted out and said, "Yo, we got plans to get arrested at the Supreme Court." And then the Capitol Police was definitely in on it because they just came and they just grabbed him by the arm. Like, let's move you over here and give you a $50 ticket.
Yeah.
You guys see what the Capitol Police did to the indigenous activists who were protesting 9/3? Do you guys see what the Capitol Police did?
Standing Rock?
Yes. And people, and you got squad sycophants like there was arrested guy. Look at this citation. Look at the $50 ticket. Ooh. I know people who would throw behind a fucking van and they wasn't seen or heard from in hours. Yeah. Did AOC get thrown in a van?
No.
Did she get a mugshot where her makeup is all messed up?
No.
So shut the fuck up talking about she was arrested. She got immunity, you dipshits.
Yeah.
You got fucking immunity as a Congress.
It was performance art again. That's all this shit is just performative bullshit. And listen, I get that all activism to some degree is performative. That's the point, is you're trying to call attention to something, so you want to go out and it's kind of, you are putting on a show because you want to call attention. So I get that, you know, all activism is to a certain extent, but all, like, that's all that there is no substance behind it. There's no actual action. They're sitting members of Congress. I don't need you to go out and like do some performative bullshit. I need you to use your power to push things through. Like when do they ever vote as a block? When do they ever, they never. It's always performative. That's it. That's all that they have. There's no teeth to any of the things that they do.
Look at this. Because this shows that this was a Democratic Party approved action. So what is our criticism of the squad? They abandoned grassroots outside games. And now they was arrested at this protest. Now you got the squad sycophants, the AOC fans who've been searching for a win for months. They like, AOC, look, she cares about you. She's in the streets. You had TYT, you had Human Rights Report, you had all the fucking boutique left people that me and CJ, we was like the first people to cover this because we went live right as it happened.
Yeah, I saw that.
During our live, we was like, we promise you, look how they're gonna cover the protest. And right on cue, they covered it exactly as me and CJ predicted they would.
Yep.
And now look at this. This is not an AOC, the Ilhan Omar supporting the outside game. We got fucking heat waves all over the goddamn country. You got the UK that is literally on fire.
Pretty much, yeah.
You got a climate crisis, a president that's funding the military more. He's fracking. Why aren't you guys protesting and getting arrested with climate activists right now? You guys not, because that is not the DNC approved protest.
Exactly.
Let's get into this. Now, this is the funny part. This was funded by Soros and a DNC action group. So this is not AOC and the squad going out like, all right, women, we feel you, we understand you. This is them following orders from the DNC.
100%. And I just wonder, did they coordinate with Central Casting too, along with the Stark Money Group that they coordinated with to make sure it was all live streamed? Because there's got to be cameras, right? They can't do anything if there's not a camera, so they can get credit for their bullshit. Yeah, I mean, this was obviously set up. It was obviously set up. I mean, and then you see the PR pictures that come out. I mean, you don't get to see the ones where their hands are behind their back and there's invisible handcuffs. They show them from the front, so it looks like they're actually getting arrested. It's such bullshit. It's offensive. You know what I mean? They really must think that their support, and I guess they're right, but they really must think that their supporters are just absolute fucking morons. And again, they're right, because their supporters are 100% falling for this.
She said, organizer of the Center for Popular Democracy Action Fund asked her and her colleagues to submit themselves for arrest in front of the Supreme Court. Now, this is the tweet from, let me get his title right, because I think he's Ilhan's comm strategist. Okay, that's who he is. They receive, Center for Popular Democracy receive over $1 million a year from Soros' Open Society Foundations. Now, I'm a Marxist. I'm not one of those people that have like this weird, strange Soros fixation. He's just another billionaire. He's just another billionaire to oppose. But this is not a conspiracy. This is literally a billionaire funding your action. And I don't care. I don't care if it's Soros. I don't care if it's Musk. I don't care if it's Gates. Any billionaire, I would call this out. But I just want to point out, and not just because it's Soros, because there are some people who do that. It's all billionaires. You see this, so Soros or not, this is a billionaire-funded action. They do not stand with you.
No.
Go ahead, Misty, if you want to.
No, of course they don't. And they try to pass this off as if they are like it's a grassroots action. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like that's the kind of PR that they're trying. And it's not. Nothing they ever do is actually grassroots. It's always listen, the squad tries to pretend like they don't take corporate money. They fucking do. They're really smart about it. They're really good at hiding their tracks. But they absolutely take dark money. They take corporate cash. I mean, listen, Nancy Pelosi donated to Ilhan Omar. Where do you think Nancy Pelosi gets her money from? Of course they take corporate cash. They're just better at hiding it. There's a lot of loopholes. There's a lot of tricky ways for them to hide that stuff in their fundraising and in their finance reports. They're not your friends. I don't know why we have to keep telling people this. And people are still defending them. Like, oh, if you're taking shots at AOC, then you're just some right-wing nut job. If you're still protecting AOC, you're a right-wing nut job. Are you joking? She just voted again to expand NATO. Not the first time. She's done it before. This is not like a one-off. This is a pattern of behavior. She is not a fucking leftist. And if you're still pretending like she is, you're the problem. You are the problem.
Because a lot of people don't have no idea what the Overton movement is. And we talked about this many times before. And like I always have this internal debate. Like, do I just say, oh man, I fuck the left because the left is going crazy, or do I just claim what it means to be a leftist back? Because I always torn on which one I should do. I tend to lean towards calling myself still a leftist and exposing everyone else as being fake leftist.
I'm just done with labels, Nick.
Because
I'm done.
I feel you. And because people fucking bastardize them so much. It's like left is good. I like you, you're on the left. I don't like you if you're on the right. Like people who are straight up fucking neocons will call people right wingers who are anti-war. We don't support war criminals. Like, it doesn't make sense.
They call me a fascist. I'm a free speech activist. I don't know if you guys know this, but fascists aren't really big fans of free speech. I don't know how you can call somebody who advocates for free speech a fascist, but that's what they do. And that's why I'm done with labels. They are always co-opted and used to divide. That is their sole focus. That is the only thing that they are used for. Nancy Pelosi calls herself a progressive. Are you joking? I was just at a convention geared towards libertarians and right-wingers, and they all think that AOC is the left. And that's the intention. That's the entire purpose of AOC and the squad. They want to get people like that to think that this is the representation of the left. And that's no left that I want a part of. None.
Yeah, and whenever you say AOC is a centrist, people will look at you like you're crazy. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Have you seen her record? Now, with that said, let's talk about one of her first votes too, because Misty talked about this all the time. AOC, one of her first votes was to expand NATO. Now
that was when I was done. I was done with her. Like, I was cautiously optimistic, which I still hate myself for because I'm not naive. But I was like, okay, well, maybe. I even donated to her campaign. And then one of her very first votes after taking office was a vote to expand NATO. Done. I was done. Nope.
Just like that.
Nope. Like not even having any part of this shit. Nope.
Exactly. Now, I'm not, from now on, I'm not referring to these motherfuckers as anything else other than the NATO Squad. So that's from now on the NATO Squad. The NATO Squadron is in their house here to fund the war. They're gonna go to DNC approved actions, right? They're gonna support Pride Month, but they're also gonna support escalating World War fucking III. They're also gonna support arming Nazis.
Yeah. Yes.
They are straight up unapologetically imperialist now. Yep. And we gotta make the argument and explain to people what they did and why it's so ridiculous. I have covered this on this show when this first happened, when it first was chatters about NATO accepting Sweden and Finland in. And look at this is the response from Russia, because this is Sweden and Finland breaking the contract of neutrality that they signed in the 90s, where they would not join NATO.
Mm-hmm.
And this is in April. And let me tell you guys, like Russia, the West called Russia's bluff because the West are fucking psychopaths.
Yes. 100%.
Because Putin and I think Lavrov, he just said recently that, guys, nuclear conversation is off the table. They realize they can't bluff with it no more because the West is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
This is what they said. Russia warned Finland, Sweden against joining NATO. Raises nuclear threat because they're like, this is a hard line. We told you guys how many times expanding NATO is that set the nuclear option on the table, and then they just open out in the open said, let's do this. Let's introduce Finland and Sweden into NATO because we want to protect Finland and Sweden.
It has nothing to do with protecting Finland and Sweden. It has everything to do with, listen, Finland shares a 536-mile border, I think, with Russia, and Sweden doesn't share a border with them, but they're a presence on the coast of the Baltic Sea, which obviously is very geopolitically strategic. This is about putting more and more pressure on Russia, and this should be a non-starter. Why we were even having this conversation is fucking mind-blowing to me. We are being walked into World War III, and there are progressives cheering this shit on, voting for it. Yes. Are you joking? Like, this is mind-blowing to me. This is no joke. This is not like people, Putin only has so much patience, y'all. And to his credit, I mean, I don't like Putin. I realize my Twitter handle is Comrade Misty is Putin's buddy. I don't like any world leaders. They're all psychopaths. You don't reach that position of power without being a psychopath. But let's be real about this. This is not an unprovoked war. This has been at least 7 years in the making, longer, really. It's been decades in the making, but at least since 2014, it has been very deliberately provoked. And adding Finland and Sweden is just another, like, you know what I mean? Like, stop poking. You know what I'm saying? This is ridiculous.
Treaties left and right.
Yes,
like,
that's what we
do.
do.
What do people think a sovereign country right is to do after someone break a treaty? And people are like, that's why you think the West keep using unprovoked? This is coming from the West breaking the Minsk Accords.
Yep.
This is coming from the West that's constantly breaking promises not to expand NATO to Russia. Over and over again, these people break their promise, just like Sweden and Finland broke their contract of neutrality just now. So let's go through why this is unhinged so you guys know why the squad should not be taken seriously by anyone. So the argument that the Swedish and Finland liberals was making, that which was opposed by Swedish and Finnish peace activists who was drowned out by the media. Wonder what that sounds like. So then you had the media in Finland and Sweden that was blasting only a pro-NATO narrative that made no sense. They said we must join NATO in order to protect ourselves from a Russian invasion. But Putin in Russia has been clear that their goal is to stop NATO. So if NATO, as long as NATO is out of your country, you will have no worry of a Russian takeover. But the lie by the media has been Russia has this plan to take over Europe. Now, explain this to me, guys. Explain to me how these two things make sense at once. How can Russia be a country that is losing in Ukraine, like the media trying to paint? The Russian army was embarrassed by the Ukrainian army that's shocking them. They are losing this war. But at the same time, they're about to take over Europe. You guys see how that doesn't make sense? They tell you guys two different things. Sorry, Misty, feel free to interrupt at any time, but I got
no, you're on a roll.
they told their they were telling the Finland and Swedish people. They said if we have to join NATO to protect ourselves, but that is the only thing that will provoke Russia. Also, if you wanted to protect Finland and Sweden, they already get security insurances as an EU state. Mm-hmm. And then there are psychopaths who say that's not enough. How is that not enough? Look at what happened in Ukraine right now. All these countries are de facto NATO. What does that mean? If you're a NATO country, you get defense when you get invaded. Ukraine got invaded. You got CIA and you got UK special forces on the ground. And you got
literally everybody. Yes. Germany, France.
Yes.
They're all everybody. All of them. They're all sending money, sending weapons, sending training. They're training them. Like it's just ridiculous that this is even being discussed. First of all, NATO shouldn't even fucking exist. The idea that we're expanding it shouldn't even exist. And then progressives are like, yeah, we're going to vote to expand it numerous times, not just the once, but numerous times we're going to expand it. It's and your left, that's left. I want no part of that left, Nick. Zero part of that left. None. None. That's like you're right. They are unapologetically imperialist, and they always actually have been. When they were running in 2017, 2018, they were good. And listen, they knew the rhetoric, especially AOC. She is very gifted in terms of, she's kind of Obama-esque in that way. Like, she's very good at putting on the show, or at least she used to be. She is kind of an overactor, and she's very cringy. I think maybe it's just for me though, because I see through it. I think it does work on a significant part of her, certainly her base. But they are imperialists. I mean, she deferred to caucus leadership on a very obvious coup. I'm going to defer. First of all, she ran away from Max Blumenthal. And then when she finally came out with a statement, I defer to caucus leadership on a coup. You're not left, sis.
That was it. That was one of the things. That was it. I was like, yep, that's it. Because I was staring at her sideways at that point. After the Venezuelan, I think because we've been friends for a while. That was around the time I was like, yep, I'm done. Off. Like, I'm not even getting you guys. At this point, you guys are opposition because you guys are imperialists, which is supporting this imperial U.S.
Honestly,
empire. Go ahead.
What is it going to take? She voted to expand NATO not once, but at least twice that I know of. She voted for the CARES Act. She voted for funding the Iron Dome. She voted to give cops more money. She deferred to caucus leadership on a coup. I mean, I could keep going. What is it going to take? Seriously, what is it? Where's your line? Do you have a line? Like, is there a line for these people? Because my line was crossed with that very first NATO vote. I was done. Seriously, I was done. You can go back and look at my Twitter feed. I was done with her. And I've been taking shit for it ever since, much like I've been taking shit for being against Bernie since 2016. But yeah, I don't understand how anybody can claim to be a leftist and support that shit. Really? The CARES Act? You support that shit? Giving money to cops? Really? The cops that just arrested her, by the way. She funded them more, gave them more money. So I'm sure that they were really rough on her. Yeah, it is legitimately mind-blowing to me that I have to think that either I don't know. I don't know if they're just I call them hipster liberals. I don't know if they've just I think one of the most damaging things that Bernie Sanders did was convince a lot of liberals that they're left when they're not. Yes. I think that's the problem. You know what I mean? Yes. It's one of the worst things that he did. But it's bad. It's bad. Seriously. Oh, sorry.
I'm ranting. On the left claiming that Ben.
Hi, CJ.
What's up,
our brother CJ's in the house.
Yeah.
This is the Nick and CJ show now. Hope you guys.
Yeah. I was feeling a little sick, man. I ate something bad last night and just took 24 hours to recover when your body does that thing, so I had to do that. So I'm here.
You've been watching. How long have you been watching? You want to?
I've been watching the whole thing. So I've been watching the whole thing. So I can slide right into the conversation. I got some receipts myself for the squad. So I'll just let you continue, and then I'll jump in.
Yeah. All right. So I want to share this, and then I think this is a good setup for you as well, CJ, because you guys see the title of this video. I want to be 100% clear on where we stand. We draw lines in the sand, and our community is base as hell because of it. Our community be going out there educating, schooling the shit out of people because we let you guys know who is the fake left. There's no misunderstanding here. This is the response to a guy who's been avoiding me like the plague.
Who is this?
Ever since ever since I called this guy out.
Oh.
I called out NATO, and bro, over the last few days, I've been having these motherfucking shitlers sweating, man. So they was like, we're gonna send our propped up darling at him, and they do this thing where they believe in, like, they now calling it like NATOism or some shit like this. And these are people who got a giant platform. This is the boutique left. This is Kyle Kulinski's good friend, guys. So I'm bringing this up because this is a very significant part of this country, like the progressive left. These are the AOC fans.
Yeah.
The people who are pro-NATO. Remember what I say at the beginning of this stream, Misty? AOC and Bernie drags people to the right. She convinced people who consider themselves leftists to be pro-NATO.
Yep.
Voss and his crew is all pro-NATO now. All pro-NATO.
They always were. They're just loud about it now.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. They're just loud about it now.
Now, I want to show you guys. Now you guys heard my opinion. We can show you guys a ton of receipts. You guys see Margaret Kimberly's amazing writing on this. I got plenty of receipts that show you the black radical position on NATO. Now let's appeal to authority just a little bit here. Look at Chris Hedges. Let me ask you guys this question: whose side are you on? Are you on the side of Chris Hedges or Vosh? who has more credibility to you? So I'm gonna appeal to authority because I know a lot of people think I'm just loud. I'm just a ghetto loudmouth. I get it, right? I'm a college dropout. Just what do I know? And that tweet, and I had another tweet while I was roasting NATO as well. Well, this one right here, where I called out pretty much what I just said right now. No need me for reading. And then so many of these replies was not even addressing what I was saying. They were just like, "Well, who do you think you are, man? What authority do you have? You just some guy on Twitter. What do you know about stopping World War III?" Anyway, my point is, so since a lot of people look down on us because we're proletariat, college dropout, some of us, let's appeal to authority. Look at Chris Hedges. Do you believe Chris Hedges or Voss? Chris Hedges. NATO, the most dangerous military alliance on the planet. Feel free to interrupt anytime you guys want because I can't see you. I'm just going to read through this a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I'm going to start from the second paragraph. This is from Chris Hedges. NATO expanded its footprint, violating promises to Moscow once the Cold War ended. It incorporated 14 countries in Eastern and Central Europe into the alliance. Why would they do this? It will soon add Finland and Sweden. It bombed Bosnia, Serbia, and Kosovo. It launched wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Libya. This has resulted in close to 1 million deaths and some 38 million people driven from their homes. It is building a military footprint in Africa and Asia.
Yep.
It invited Australia, Japan, New Zealand, South Korea, the so-called Asia-Pacific Forum, to its recent summit at Madrid. They are planning to take over the world through NATO. Are we clear? Do you guys understand what this is? Why they want everyone to starve? You got a NATO chief that's telling Europe, and he told his European leaders, shut the hell up, suck it up. You're starving for our military imperial dominance. But Voss is all for that, though. Where you go? Look, this is who he represents.
Yeah.
I want everyone to be clear. This is who Voss represents. When we say he's a white supremacist, this is the ideology he is proudly representing. The one who is launching wars and who's been an offensive military threat. So do you guys see why there's so much left infighting we engage with?
That's not infighting. That's not infighting. We're not in. I'm not in with those people. There's no in. Nope. That's just fighting.
Yeah, it's repulsive just to say, right?
Yeah.
But people would look at us like we're crazy for calling out these AOC sycophants.
Yeah.
This is the AOC left. Vosh is the AOC left.
Yes.
And
yes.
I'm gonna go to because this is one more important part that I must read. Because now he just go through the war crimes in NATO.
Which are numerous. Abundant.
So I'm gonna skip down to this part just so I can get you guys, just so I don't go too long here. This is why you are not anti-war, you are not anti-imperialist unless you oppose NATO. It's not even left or right at this point. Like you are not anti-imperialist, period. Vosh, look at this. This is what I explained this on the show before. NATO explained, and tell me why would defensive military lines, why would this be their strategy? Their strategy heading into the next decade is a battle for hegemony with rival states, especially China. What does that mean? China has, and this is coming from NATO, at the NATO 2030 initiative. China has increasingly global strategic agenda. The strategic agenda of building shit. Oh, the horror of that. Supported by its economic and military heft. It has proven its willingness to use force against its neighbors. Said the country that got 800 military. Well, U.S. had 800 military bases. We just saw the crimes of. Chris Hedges just explained what they did. Sorry, feel free to interrupt me anytime.
No, you're good. You're good.
Well, I do want to put up a video.
All right, let me read this last paragraph.
Let me let you finish that, and then because I have a point to make, but with a video.
All right, cool. I'll pass it to you right after this paragraph here. Just because I want to show you guys how NATO is planning this insane Cold War. So it has proven to use force against neighbors as well as economic coercion. They are corrosive.
Rejection.
They are building infrastructure in Africa and South America. Oh my God, this is so evil. Intimidatory What is this? Intimidatory diplomacy. You see these words they were using? Sorry, let me finish this part up. Over the coming decades, China will also challenge NATO's ability to build collective resilience, safeguard critical infrastructure, address new and emerging technologies as 5G. No, that's your fault. And protect sensitive sectors of the economy, including supply chains. Longer term, China is increasingly likely to project military power globally, including potential in the Euro-Atlantic area. You guys see how crazy this NATO declaration of war against China, and they also mentioned Russia as well. But I cut off there. Do you guys have anything you want to add to that? Now you guys see why I titled this video the way I did. If you support NATO, you are right wing. You are for the new Cold War. Period.
Yes, and that's not even up for debate. I don't know why that's even a controversial statement or why anybody would even pretend like that's not the case. Listen, maybe I'm just confused about what it means to be a leftist, and this is why I'm done with labels, because left means different things to different people, progressive means different things, the right wing means different things to different people. And like I said, when I was at Freedom Fest, libertarians think AOC is the left. They have no idea that there are people like us who want nothing to do with that, and that's intentional. But you cannot support warmongering by the world's largest empire and still be a leftist. I don't know why that's a controversial statement. Mind blowing.
What you are describing in the co-opting of the language is recuperation. Somebody said that, had that comment in the notes. Is recuperation it's stripping the real meaning of something and leaving a shell.
Yep.
It is a strategy that the ruling class uses against the working class. So that's why BLM now just means Black Lives Matter instead of all these demands that they had that was attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's an example. So it's terrible, but that's why we have RBN. That's why you have your network, Comrade Misty. We have to combat it. That's the only thing possible. It's a reason the United States citizens have to be the most propagandized, because you have to look at it strategically. If the imperialist core is here, that means you have to have the most softest pushback closest to your home. That's why you have to propagandize Americans so much. But anyway, I do want to make a point about the squad. So I want to bring it back to the squad. So it's so funny because I was getting ready to do a stream, and then I went to go, I created the graphic, and then I went to go create the stream, and Nick already had one. Then I looked at it, what the actual picture was. It was actually the same photo we were using. Mine said political theater approved by leadership, and his said NATO Squad.
NATO Squad.
It just had, and it was
NATO Squad.
But we were thinking, great minds think alike. We were thinking of the same thing, but we have to ask ourselves when you're critically analyzing these things is what's different if it's the same thing. I was going to have that force to vote angle. If force to vote is political theater and this is political theater, what makes this one okay with certain progressives, liberals? What makes this one okay? It's approved by leadership. What is the stir up in the country right now? Who's protesting? It's women's rights. It's the overturning of Roe versus Wade. So let me show you the so-called planned protest by the billionaire who was Soros. And I have I have the same analysis of Soros. He's just another billionaire. There is a sinister crowd
and he
on
funds
social
a
media.
lot of groups, y'all. A lot.
He's just
Hundreds.
another one. But there are people online who thinks he has a special sort of thing, and I don't believe that either. I just think he's just
like right-wingers believe that somehow he's more powerful than other billionaires.
Right. So let's look and critically analyze this 1.5-minute video. So let's listen.
We are gathered here today because many of us have.
Ask yourself, is there anything progressive left that would include these people here?
No.
Tell me, did you think they knew they were getting arrested? Look at this. Yes. Is this Gucci? What is this? This is like Macy's? What protest are you going dressed like this unless you know you're about to sit down on the street for about 5 minutes and then have your friends, literally the people who you tell what to do, hey, come arrest me in about 5 minutes. This is okay, but us
they know they might be on social media.
Right, but us demanding force the vote is just political theater.
Which
that's
force
not
the vote
anything.
was an actual action, CJ.
Exactly.
That was an actual action that could be taken. That wasn't just performative. Again, like I told Nick earlier, to a certain extent, all activism is performative. That's the point, is you're trying to call attention.
Point of it.
That's the point. So I often get a little worried when people are like, oh, this is just performative, because I don't have any problem with it being sort of performative. But if there's no substance, if there's no action, then it's useless. And that's what this is. It's the same thing as them walking through the halls of Congress singing some song about abortion. That does nothing for anybody. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So yeah. But to that point, why? Like, but the question again, I'm going back to the first point I just made, which is these people, or I'm not going to say these people, I don't know their names, but these Congress people here, do you think she's going to be out protesting as old as she is for hours and hours? Or do you think they're out here for the photographers that are all around to take pictures of them? That's it. Political theater that's making a point.
I won't say it's because of her age, though. We just talked about Eric, who's 94 and just passed away today. Yeah, but it's like she's a congressperson. Of course, she's not going to be out.
What I was going to make the connection was to that, which was you saw a real person who was up in age earlier when you were talking about him versus this person. When is the last time you seen her at a protest for anything that has she been in a Julian Assange protest?
No.
Medicare for All protest?
No.
You get what I'm saying?
Why they wasn't at 9/3 protest?
Exactly. So the point I'm making is that this was all set up, including the police. If you could see some of the footage, I'll let this play in the background. The police were literally standing right feet away from them, just having a casual conversation.
Mm-hmm.
As if this was not at all. This was completely strict. Look at this.
That's where they were detained. That's jail.
In 30 minutes, we gonna it's over, guys.
Yeah. What is this? What is this?
That's jail.
This is ridiculous.
They didn't even they didn't go to jail. They just got escorted to like a grassy knoll and had to hang out and then get their $50 ticket handed.
This is the most boutique left shot I ever seen in my fucking life. I was at the George Floyd protest. Bro, they were throwing people in fucking vans, bro.
I saw somebody get hit by a cop car. Like, it's.
What is the purpose of walking like this? Because so you remember, Nick, I think I was talking about this a little bit yesterday. I was looking for the reformist left crowd to see what kind of footage they did on this, and I couldn't find anything until after the stream yesterday was ended. And it was the Humanist Report, and he was making a video calling out people, calling his fake handcuffs, and saying, "Do you think she just forgot and raised her hand when she?" And I'm like, yeah, I do think she just forgot, because what is the purpose of this? Like, what is the purpose of who walks with their hand and like this? Also, who does that?
If the police told people, they say the police told people to put their hands behind their back, but literally there was a ton of people that was getting arrested who didn't have their hands behind their back.
I went and got screenshots. Like her and Ilhan Omar were the only two people of all the pictures that I looked at that had their hands behind their back when they were walking. The only two.
And why did they do it? Me and CJ talked about this yesterday. They did because they knew the cameras would be there.
Yeah.
And they knew they would have the camera with the picture of them facing frontward.
Yep.
And they go ahead, CJ.
No, I was just gonna piggyback on what you're saying. I'm not gonna play all the footage, but just go to YouTube and type arrest last 24 hours and see all the corporate media outlets where the point was they knew people would see that she's faking it in the back, but corporate media wasn't going to cover that at all. And if you Google this, all of corporate media is covering it without telling you her hands is not really handcuffed.
Yeah, I saw that.
They're all covered, and they knew that's how corporate media, who is their audience, the people who watch corporate media, that's their audience now. It's not leftists. The leftists who are dragging her all on social media, it's not them. So they don't care about what our reaction is. They care about who the people who are watching corporate media. The other thing is, for people who are praising this and who are against force to vote, this is the point I want to make about that, is that both of them are political theater, but which one has the highest wall to climb? What they're protesting here, the overturning of Roe versus Wade, the final, or one of the final decision makers in our system, which is the Supreme Court, has given their decision. So they have a much steeper, higher hill to climb, Misty, than what forced a vote was just trying to pressure a vote. But that political theater that has a lot more that it can produce quicker than this political theater, which can be valuable too, to your point earlier, which could be valuable too. But the point I'm trying to make is that even if you're thinking strategically, political theater is like whatever, but what it produces, forced to vote's political theater would have produced a lot more, or could have produced a lot more than this. But that was wrong, and this is right. And we have to ask ourselves, why is that? Is it because the working class, the proletariat, was behind forced to vote and didn't come from Soros?
That, and it was a threat to Nancy Pelosi in corporate
Exactly. Power. Exactly. So you have to ask yourself, for those that support it, if we have any AOC stands in the audience, ask yourself, why is it okay for certain times for them to go out and do the things that we're saying they should be doing all the time? Why is that okay? Ask yourself the differences in when they choose not to do it and when they choose to do it. Now, did she feel safe out there? Was one of the reasons initial reason she didn't go out to support the Amazon union?
Oh,
remember,
it's not her district.
Remember my safety?
District. Yeah, my safety.
There it is.
Look at all these people around here. Where's her safety concern?
Well, and wasn't she really threatened by the cops during January 6th? Like, she was very traumatized because she thought the cops were going to sell her out to the protesters, right? So but she's fine with this? Like, this is fine?
Right, and we're saying all of this because you might be saying, this is what's the point? What the point is, us as like propaganda busters, we have to keep attacking these narratives that have people who would otherwise be more revolutionary unless they thought they had somebody on the inside. We're trying to destroy that narrative because it's a false narrative. It's still people that's hanging on to this, and we have to keep attacking it at these points so that we can have more people that relinquish this belief and say, hey, maybe RBN, maybe what Comrade Misty is saying is true. The Democrats are full of shit, and let's do some more revolutionary acts. So that's the point and why I kind of attack this all the time. I'll pass it back to you.
Go ahead, Misty, if you want to add up.
Well, we need to learn to recognize controlled opposition. This is something that has been used against the left forever. I mean, I don't know why that's shocking to people, or that people are unaware of that situation, because, the right can also be infiltrated. But if we're being real about it, the establishment is right-leaning. So they're not really all that concerned with disrupting the right. They're concerned with disrupting the left. And so there is, and I don't mean to make it like a competition, because again, the right is absolutely also deals with that as well. They deal with censorship. We deal with censorship. There's this, it seems like there's this oppressed Olympics between like left and right. Like we're censored more. No, we're censored more. We're all censored. If you are anti-establishment, you are censored. Period.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you come from. And infiltration is the same way, but I do think that there is a bigger problem with that on the left because, again, the establishment is right-leaning, so they're fine with that to a certain degree. I think that the times that they infiltrate the right, it is to use them to their own means, like they do with the Proud Boys. You know what I mean? Like that's like a Fed operation, very clearly. So yeah, I mean, we have to learn to recognize controlled opposition. We have to learn to recognize these people were put there for a reason. They were put there to keep us distracted, to keep people shepherded into the Democratic Party in a failed electoral system that doesn't benefit any of us. And it's really depressing to me that so many people are incapable of seeing that and recognizing it, because we are, I mean, not we, but people are wasting a lot of time and energy and resources on people like AOC and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and Cori Bush. And Cori Bush is honestly the most depressing to me because she's a legitimate street activist. I had hope for her. But as I've always said, I think
I'm from Missouri. You telling me?
Yeah.
What is the mood like after you're done, Misty? What is the mood like, Nick? Let us know about Cori Bush. Like what is it like? What is the activist mood about her now, and what they're seeing, what's happening?
I hang around a bunch of radicals, right? So like
we know
with politicians, and yeah. I know there are a lot of like mostly these are the people that will like vote for like Justice Democrats. They still want to believe in her, but I think most like real activists are done because. And that was the most disturbing thing because she came out of Ferguson. A lot of people knew her, nurse in the area. And you guys can see my ultras. I remember I went to you like that was super sad. I said, and I remember at the time I said, if she disappoints us, this shit's done, and shit is done. Right? So
I think honestly,
if she can turn her, anyone get turned.
The attitude surrounding the squad. I mean, Ilhan Omar was booed for 10 minutes at a Somali concert in her district for 10 minutes.
Oh my God, that's my next that's my next video, Misty. I literally have it queued up right here.
Nice. Go ahead. I was reading your mind.
Misty, how you doing on time? I know
I'm fine. No, I'm good. Yeah, we don't. Now that I don't have the vigil, we already did the vigil. I'm good.
All right, good. All right, so
okay, so yeah, because that's literally the video that's pulling up right now. So I'll share my screen. Since we're talking about the squad, let's talk about some of the. Let me. I don't know if you made this point, maybe not. I absolutely believe that, I know this is planned by Soros, and I don't know how far back this was planned, so maybe not. But it's just curious to me that the NATO vote comes out, and then this. It's kind of whitewashing the critique of what happened, how they voted for NATO. It's just suspicious to me, and I don't think anything is like a coincidence. I just wanted to mention that. So
very convenient timing.
So this video is Jimmy Dore. In the first 2 minutes, they're going to show the footage, or the first minute actually. So,
it's so bad.
Let's just listen because he plays the video where she's getting.
This shit is funny, man.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's bad.
So you're not going to believe what happened. Ilhan Omar got booed at a concert in her own district by Somalians. You think I'm kidding? Let's watch a little bit of it.
Look at dude. He's like, please.
Rapping?
So she's at this.
But what's interesting to me, I'll pause it there.
You guys know why they're doing this, right?
That's what I was getting to, is like why, because he's gonna explain like why, or you can explain too. But Nick,
I didn't see Jimmy's video yet, but I remember I explained. I explained it. Remember when we did our Somalia coverage? I told you guys that there were a lot of Somalian activists that I saw on Twitter, and there were some mutuals that told me. I had a conversation with someone who literally lived in Minnesota. It was like, bro, the left Somalians in this community, they do not fuck with Ilhan Omar no more because she supports the U.S.-backed Somalian government.
Yep.
Right. Which she was instrumental.
And that was instrumental. They're not like these boutique leftists who they don't got skin in this game. They feel that Ilhan betrayed her community. And it's very interesting to see what election's gonna look like for her moving forward. Because go ahead, CJ.
So what Jimmy's going to go explain to your point, Nick, is that he's going to explain how she was instrumental in removing their popular president.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden we sent the U.S. send troops into Somalia. That's not a coincidence. And the real leftists that you're talking about on the ground know that it's not a coincidence, that is what happened. So she's selling out her people from their opinion. She's selling out her people for these minuscule gains, and it doesn't seem like it's not equating from their opinion. But let's let them kind of explain it a little better.
Saldan Sirar, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but he's not used to being booed. Let's watch a little bit more. He tried to get them to stop, but they wouldn't. So I enjoyed that, but I didn't understand why they were booing her. But an article in the Gray Zone appeared by Ann Garrison, and it's called Ilhan Omar's Meddling in the Horn of Africa Earns Boos at the Somali American Concert. So let's introduce our guest.
That is amazing.
She's an independent journalist based in San Francisco Bay Area. She is a contributing editor at Black Agenda Report, as well as a contributor to Bayview, Black Star News, Counterpunch, the Gray Zone, and Pacifica Radio, where this show originated.
Absolutely.
In 2014, she received the Victor.
You want to know what's interesting? The people who support Ilhan Omar, like the Justice Democrat supporters, they view Jimmy, us, and I'm sure Max as people to their right, but they support the person that is engaging in right-wing foreign policy and is hated by her own community
against her own country.
It's the PMCs. It's the PMCs. They don't care about the working class.
No.
So,
like all of the ideology of the progressive Democrat crowd, the Justice Democrat crowd, is from the PMC point of view, professional managerial class. We've done now. This is just another name. We call them the boutique left. I hear that's probably the phrase you use most, Comrade Misty. I use reform left. This is the description of the same group. It's just different terminology. This is the terminology they use. That's what I just learned. So that's why I'm using it a lot more. But those policies from that class is not for the working class, and it conflicts. They admit it in some of their footage that their needs conflict with the working class. And Nick and I did a stream on that, and it's telling. But let's let this lady, I think she's the one that wrote this article, explain in detail the problem.
Victor Inagrab, I can't pronounce that, Humaza Democracy and Peace Prize for her reporting on the conflict. Please welcome Ann Garrison. Hi, Ann. How are you?
I'm fine.
How do you pronounce that award?
Victoria and Gabriel Mohosa. And that conflict is the conflict in the Great Lakes region of Africa, which is more in Central Africa.
Okay.
We're talking about the Horn of Africa today.
Okay, so I'll show people where it is. This is this is the Horn of Africa. There's Ethiopia. There's Somalia. Okay, across the thing is Saudi Arabia.
Capitalism. This is a capitalism break.
Oh,
they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Gotta talk about Djibouti.
Djibouti's right here, right? Djibouti's right there.
I have a little crib sheet.
Okay.
I'm so nervous that I got a little crib sheet, and the number of there are 8 foreign military bases in Djibouti.
Really?
8.
The U.S., Germany, Spain.
Why would all those military bases be right there? Why do you think? Do you think there's some rich resources? And we should play that video that's going on Twitter also about the lady basically admit about resources. I know we've all tweeted about it. Like, that's so strange how all of this is connected, but let's let her explain. I think she gets into the explanation now.
Italy, France, the UK, China, and Saudi Arabia.
So let me rewind it just 10 seconds so you can hear the list of countries that have bases there. You just got to ask yourself why.
they're so interested in having military bases in Djibouti in the Horn of Africa?
Extremely geostrategic, lots of resources, right on the Red Sea, the Arabian Sea, the Gulf of Aden, right across from Yemen and the Gulf states.
So again, it's a strategic military because there's military-wise because there's a lot of natural resources there to get to, and what's happening in Ethiopia right here. So now, tell us. I know that there's the United States is trying to overthrow the Ethiopian government by backing with these rebels, and of course we're on the wrong side there. But those were Somalians that were booing her. Can you tell us why the Somalians were booing her?
Yeah, she had a lot. Well, for one, they think that she promised some programs for youth and so forth. They've got some crime and problems with youth being drawn into it. They're in Minneapolis, and they think she didn't do enough of what she promised to help. But what seemed to be more significant is her policy in Somalia, where she's from, where she was instrumental in having a very, very popular president removed from office recently. That would be
recently.
Mohammed Abdullahi Mohammed.
So here, let me just show it. So they were upset with her role in the removal of Somali President Mohammed Abdullah Mohammed, or he's also known as Farmajo. Is that how you say it?
Farmajo. Actually, that means cheese, and he got that nickname because he liked cheese.
Oh, okay. And so he was very popular, and she was behind getting rid of him. And that was one of the examples of the Congresswoman's role in advancing U.S. meddling in the Horn of Africa. And so now they got rid of him in Somalia as their leader. And as soon as he was gone, and even before the formal transition of power, an oil and gas extraction contract with a U.S. corporation that Farmajo had blocked was back in play.
That's a leftist. That's our best shot. That's our best shot.
So
everyone, I'm sorry.
Some good came out of
it. That's our best shot, everybody, that we got in Congress.
That's the best you got. That's what we got to say.
I don't need to play more. I mean, I don't need to keep playing, but I don't need to play more. But you get it, Nick and Misty. Like, this is a joke. This is a joke. Like, we need to stop supporting these people. Like, this is just a facade. Her own people think she's a sellout.
Yeah, she is.
You see, they always want to sell out what community?
Their own.
Like, they selling out the Palestinians.
Yes.
They're selling out the Palestinian people left and right. They selling out the Somalian people. And then, this is what we talk about all the time, CJ. All the time. They're here to comfort the white bourgeoisie. Mm-hmm. That's it. In the white suburbs.
PMC. The
and
PMC
they're going to sell us out to do it.
Professional managerial class.
Well, go ahead, Misty. I think Misty want to chime in too, right? You want to chime in?
Well, I mean, you guys can rant. It's fine. You guys know I love a good rant, so I'm fine to be patient. But yeah, it's they are there to make Western imperialism palatable to the American people, and in particular, supposedly to their own communities. But their own communities are seeing through this bullshit identity politics, representation, or nonsense that they try to push forward. Oh, well, she's Somalian. Like, you have to be excited about. She's a woman. You have to fuck that shit. I don't listen. People keep trying to tell me I have to stand behind somebody like Ilhan Omar when she does this shit. You can fuck right off. I don't stand behind that any day of the week. Never. It's never going to happen. And if you do, as Nick said, you are right wing. You're not a leftist. Really, a leftist is going to stand behind a Somalian woman selling out her own people in her own country to install a U.S. puppet dictator and benefit a U.S. oil and gas company? That's your leftist? I mean,
have you seen it? I know you've seen it probably. There have been a lot of tweets from AOC people ever since, especially the handcuff thing. Yeah. They're like, why do people spend all their time criticizing AOC and the squad? After this hour conversation, I hope you guys see it. Like, you guys see the role they play? You guys see why it's important to call these people out? There are people that be like, well, I get they're not perfect, but why focus on them? This is why. They are an instrument to selling out our community.
Yeah, they need to be exposed. Too many people are still buying into this. And listen, because people come at me all the time with that. Well, you focus on the squad, you never talk about Republicans. I do talk about Republicans, but Republicans have never promised me shit. I know who they are. They don't hide it. Like they didn't promise me healthcare. They didn't promise me they were going to fight for any of the things that AOC and the squad have promised me they were going to. They certainly didn't promise the Somalian people of Minneapolis or wherever that they were going to fight for them. Ilhan Omar did. And if you don't do the things that you promise you're going to do, it's your job to hold politicians accountable. That's the whole point. It's mind-blowing to me that people don't understand that. These are people who promised you something. They told you they were going to do, they ask for your money on a regular basis, right? They tell you they're going to stand up for you. They're going to fight for you. They're going to bring the ruckus. And then they don't. And you want to make excuses for them? That's a really bad strategy. That's terrible.
Man. So I'm gonna show you guys. I don't know about you. I don't know about you, but this is the shit I'm talking about. Like this AOC hive, the new K hive that I've been calling out for a long time.
Yes.
So she blocked me, and she's a notorious AOC fan.
I wonder if I got blocked.
Yeah, she did not like me. She tweeted this out. At this point, most of the critiques of AOC are just straight up right-wing talking points. I'm sorry that so many of you still think you're leftist. 2,000 likes. 2,100 likes. Do you guys see the AOC hive?
You see how they connect being a leftist to a personality? You see how the joke of the United States left? It's nothing to do with oppressed people liberation. It has to do with Medicare for all, $15 minimum wage. That's the threshold they have. Or if you mean to the politician.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nick, go ahead.
No, you guys fine. Feel free to interrupt anytime. But this is I tweeted this out. She blocked me immediately because she realized like fuck, I should have blocked this dude. She was like immediately after I sent it that she blocked me.
I'm so
and I said, imagine tweeting this. Remember that screenshot because I had to find a screenshot first. And I said, imagine tweeting that after AOC voted to expand NATO.
Yeah. Yes. I tweeted out at this point, people making excuses for someone who voted for the CARES Act, has voted to expand NATO more than once, voted for the Iron Dome, voted for more money for cops, deferred to caucus leadership on a coup, and still think they're leftists are embarrassing. You're embarrassing.
Let me find that.
That's fucking embarrassing. You're still defending that shit and getting mad at the people who are criticizing her? Like,
yes. Yes, and let's show you one of the people that's big mad about people criticizing.
Oh, I'm blocked by him.
She's a house member, yeah. House leader? Yeah. No, she's a member of the house.
Do you see her stopping for the picture?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see her slowing down to get more pictures? What is the fuck?
Get my good side. Get my good side.
I didn't notice that in another video, or maybe I didn't see it, but she's slowing down so he can get the shot.
You just watched Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez be arrested at a Capitol protest for abortion rights. Now, she wasn't the only lawmaker arrested because there were others. As journalist Edward Isaac Dover points out, other members of Congress who were arrested during the protest include Carolyn Maloney, Rashida Tlaib, Cori Bush, Barbara.
You said you're blocked, so both of you are blocked by him.
I've been blocked for a long time, my friend.
And Nick, you've been blocked too, right?
Yeah. I told that story many a time. Yeah, I'm blocked.
Lee, Ilhan, Omar, and Presley, among others.
He used to like your tweets?
Yeah, he used to like my shit all the time. And then I started criticizing Bernie in the squad and calling him his racist friend.
I got blocked.
I didn't try to tell the story again. I told this a lot of times. So I called it his racist friend, and he blocked me ever since.
Yeah, I got blocked after switching on Bernie after the 2016 primary and turning on Bernie. Like within 2 months, he blocked me.
Man, PMCs just cannot take it. PMCs cannot take you criticizing their messiah at all.
No.
others. And as CBS News explains, U.S. Capitol Police said they made a total of 35 arrests for crowding, obstructing, or incommoding, which included 17 members of Congress. Protesters had perched themselves on First Street Northeast near the Capitol building, blocking the street. Capitol Police said they issued their standard 3 warnings before beginning the arrests. A spokesperson for Democratic Representative Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts also confirmed multiple arrests of members of Congress and said Pressley was among those arrested. Pressley's communications director, Ricardo Sanchez, said her arrest was an act of nonviolent civil disobedience. Representative Catherine Clark, the Democratic Assistant Speaker of the House, was also arrested. Abortion rights supporters and those opposed to abortion rights have been demonstrating near the Supreme Court since the court's decision to strike down abortion protection under Roe nearly a month ago. So what this is members of Congress standing in solidarity with abortion rights protesters across the country. And this is really important. Is it just symbolic? Yeah. Is it admittedly political theater? Yeah. But it's important. The House did its job to codify Roe v. Wade. So now it's up to the Senate to do its job. And for that, you have to rely on Democratic Party leadership, Joe Biden, the media. But what members of the House can do, meanwhile, is they can elevate this issue, raise.
Let's just leave that up there for a second there. Oh, man. Yeah. So, okay. And we continue.
The salience of this particular issue, keep it elevated in the public's minds so that way this issue doesn't begin to fade away. And I think it's really important for members of Congress to put their bodies on the line and subject themselves. To arrest.
We literally don't even need to say nothing, just based off what he said.
When most members of Congress, I'd argue, don't even care about any.
He said
yes, he said that. Yes.
Subject themselves to arrest. When most members of
yes, he says that. Let's listen.
What the House can do, meanwhile, is they can elevate this issue, raise the salience of this particular issue, keep it elevated in the public's minds so that way this issue doesn't begin to fade away. And I think it's really important for members of Congress to put their bodies on the line and subject themselves to arrest. When most members of Congress, I'd argue, don't even care about any issue enough to speak up, let alone subject themselves to being arrested. So this is really important, and I commend everyone who did this. It's not often that we see members of Congress do this and get arrested symbolically, but it still is really nice to see whenever it does indeed happen. Now, on the subject of getting arrested, I've got to share this banger of a tweet from Carolyn Bueno, who writes, "It's quite telling that more members of Congress were arrested today for protesting in support of abortion rights than have been arrested ever for facilitating January 6th. And that, my friends, is an incredible point. So I absolutely commend.
You have to throw in some January.
That's an incredible
6th,
point. It's not an incredible point.
Who did this. Again, it's symbolic, it's political theater, but it's important, it's necessary, and this type of
I know it's taking a while for him to get to the handcuffs, but that's what we're waiting for. He's getting to the handcuffs part, so let's listen.
Political theater is effective because you generate press coverage, and that's exactly what these members of Congress did. But a dumber element of the story that I have to talk about is the claim that AOC either pretended to be arrested or faked being in handcuffs. And this is being spread by a lot of right-wing commentators, along with members of Congress. Speaking of insurrectionists, Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted out to AOC specifically, quote, "You faked being handcuffed for your photo op today as Capitol Police warned you 3 times to get out of the street. Then you were arrested so you would stop playing in traffic. Abortion is legal up to 24 weeks in Minnesota. You're protesting nothing. You're a liar." You also have GOP figures like Terrence Williams and Stephen Crowder sharing a video where AOC is.
I'm going to just pause it and bring it back to this picture here so you can see. You see the other person? You see how she's not fake handcuffing her hands there?
Exactly.
You see that? That's the difference because he points out other people. There was other people arrested too. And I'm like, none of them faked handcuffed except for 2. All of them just walked with their hands to their side as the cops were holding their arm.
The one lady was
Terrence
holding
Williams.
her sign to pose for pictures. That was walking in front of them. She's literally like holding her sign, posing, like, look at my sign. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
And Stephen Crowder.
It is just such an unnatural human walking stance to have your hands behind your back. That's the point. So why are you doing that?
Sharing a video where AOC is ostensibly pretending to be handcuffed. Now, this accusation is also being lobbed at Ilhan Omar as well, but there's a very simple explanation for this. But for clarity's sake, let's see the video that they're all referring to.
Who walks like that?
Guys, at the George Floyd protest, no one was smiling getting arrested like that. I'm telling you that right now.
No.
I'll tell you that right now.
Who walks like that?
You can see Ilhan Omar, like AOC, raising her fist in solidarity. Now, conservatives are claiming...
You notice how he skips over the part of their hands behind their back and goes to say, this proves that's not what they're doing. Look how they lift their hands up.
That they were faking being in handcuffs. Except the explanation is that they were not faking being in handcuffs. Let me ask you this. If somebody wanted to pretend as if they were in handcuffs, would they literally raise their fucking fist in solidarity? Did they forget? And they were like, oh, sorry, I forgot. I'm supposed to be pretending to be handcuffed.
Yeah. But let's take it like you say, Nick, all the way, always. Let's take it the way you're saying. What we're also saying, let's go with the way he's saying. Let's say what you're saying is true. The reason it doesn't refute the point that we made yesterday, Nick, which is them putting their hands behind their back is for corporate media. It's for corporate media to show. So how many people is not watching the Humanist Report? How many people not watching RBN, but they're only watching CNN? They're only watching The Guardian.
Yep.
What they're showing is their hand behind. So you're just assuming, wow, look at their activism. They have cuffs on. That's what you're assuming because their hands are behind their back. So it's a manipulation of media, attempting to manipulate the media. Well, let's put it that way. Okay, Mike, is that a better description?
That's too much critical thinking. That's too much.
Yeah, is that a better description of it? It's an attempt to manipulate media because they know corporate media is only going to cover it as these people got arrested and show them with their hands behind their back. It's an unnatural walking stance. Yeah, to be walking with your hands behind your back.
Yep.
Is that really what happened? Not
they
just
weren't under any threat. They weren't under any, like, there's people are like, oh, you know, you're supposed to do that even if you weren't handcuffed. You're supposed to walk with your hands behind your back. Fams, come on. Okay, maybe, but people say that that's best practice. That even if you're just being detained, that
the ACLU disagrees. By the way, I just want.
I know, but that's I'm just saying. Devil's advocate, that's what some people are saying, that it's best practice to just put your hands behind your back so that you can't then be accused of resisting arrest or any of those. You're fucking Congress people. You just voted to give them a shit ton more money. You're under no threat. And furthermore, we now know, as CJ pointed out earlier, the whole fucking thing was set up. Exactly. This was all a PR stunt. And so these pictures, and you're absolutely right, in corporate media, we don't get to see the whole video. We don't get to see where there are no handcuffs. They're invisible. They don't exist. And I'm also wondering, is that where the money went that AOC voted for, is for invisible handcuffs? Because I mean, that's amazing. They've invented invisible handcuffs, but the whole thing was a setup. It was all a PR stunt, and that's the problem I have with it. And again, it's because, as he said, I give him credit. He does admit that it's performative, and I don't have a problem with that. The problem is there's nothing to back it up. It is nothing more than a PR stunt to get fundraising dollars, and in an election year to kind of try to turn the tide on the unbelievably terrible favorability rating that Democrats hold right now, because they're useless. And it's offensive to me that they're using an issue as important as this so cynically, as, you know, this kind of tool of manipulation against their dumbest supporters. It's I don't know why
they do. You know, they do a stunt like this every few weeks or so.
Yeah,
and they got to keep them on the string, right?
Yes. And again, the timing is very suspect. They just voted for NATO, to expand NATO, and then suddenly there's this. It is very suspect.
Yeah, that was my point too. It was just, that's too coincidental that both of these things. I'll take him off now. We've seen enough. You see the point, and I'm sure there's probably some other, you know, reformist leftist YouTubers that maybe have sort of followed the lead of Mike in his analysis here, but it still falls flat in my opinion, because you don't do that unless you're trying to manipulate the media, like somebody said in the comments. So